Hello, my friends. This is Arcturus reporting. I'm currently traveling in the south of France, investigating the mysteries of Mary Magdalene, for it's believed by many that she was actually here, and that even Jesus himself was in the south of France. All of this is fascinating, and we were preparing a retreat here, and the retreat might still happen, and it might still happen this year. And if you want more info about that, you can join the mailing list at escapefromthematrix.com. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about the concept of ascension. You've probably heard about that. There are many great souls who talk about it on Gaia, and it's the belief that our world will transition into a higher dimension. In other words, that we will all be in a much better place where we can be happy, and the old systems of control and everything that makes life difficult, such as government and taxes and meaningless work and hunger and wars, and all of that will end. So I'll tell you what's my opinion about that. It's the opinion of someone that has been having out-of-body experiences for more than 20 years and who has belonged to an esoteric society and a Buddhist community, and who is connected to a lot of people dedicated to spirituality, and who am very sensitive to energies and seen a lot of things. So here it comes. As some of you know, I was raised in a very Christian Catholic household. I even went to an Opus Dei school, and the Opus Dei is greatly featured in Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code as a force that wants to quiet the truth about Mary Magdalene. All of these theories come from a place called Rennes-le-Château, around 30 minutes from where I'm making this video. And some of this might be conspiracy theories, of course, but there's always truth to it. And the truth is that this Opus Dei school in which I studied was very repressive and narrow-minded. And so growing up with this background, the people I knew were always talking about the end of times, and that we were already in the end of times. So the belief was that we were going to experience many cataclysms, and before the very end, God or Jesus himself was going to come back to earth and punish all those who were sinners or who were unconfessed, and they were going to be sent to hell. So that was the perspective in which I was raised. Of course, there was a lot of fear involved. I myself was afraid all of the time. I wanted to get confessed every weekend just in case I would die. I didn't want to go to hell. And of course, it wasn't until I started to experience astral projection and began to discover my spirituality, not from a religious perspective, but from a direct experience, that my views began to change. And as I've mentioned in the past, I was part of an esoteric society where I learned how to control astral projection, and they also taught me so many things about what they believed was going to happen. And one thing they had in common with Christian beliefs is that, yes, they also believed we were in the end of times, but for them, the end of times was a complete different concept. It wasn't about the end of the world, but the end of the world as we know it, meaning the way our society is structured. But it also goes deeper than that, because those changes have to do with everything, even the way we perceive the world. I mean, they believe that even matter as we know it is bound to change. And yes, they believed this shift had already started. As a matter of fact, they believed the shift started in the 60s, and that it was going to become exponential. Now, if we go back to the 60s, we can see that there were strong political and cultural movements within the hippie era and the New Age movement, which started back in the 60s, and which also believed that we were entering a new era. Nowadays, with the internet, which allows us to share information in an instant, we are realizing that there are so many religious and spiritual groups and people who believed and have had different insights that indicate that yes, the world as we know it is changing, and that yes, there is an ascension taking place which will probably take us into a higher dimension. If you've been putting attention over the last 2 decades, I remember that when I got involved with spirituality almost 2 decades ago, the first thing that I noticed is that time was happening faster. Everything was accelerating, not just the duration of a day, but also the duration of events. And Hindu scriptures, which refer to this time as the Kali Yuga, or the Age of Discord, also mentioned that this era was going to last exponentially less than previous eras, and that also time was going to go faster, exponentially so. And since I became, let's say, sensitive 2 decades ago with astral projection and my spiritual mission inside an esoteric and later a Buddhist community, I can tell you that I've been feeling and I've been shown things that tell me that yes, it's not a coincidence that more and more people are believing and talking and seeing these things, because the ascension is really happening. Reality is becoming more malleable and also less dense. The world as we know it is becoming more dreamlike, such as the things you are thinking or the things you connect with are suddenly happening or coming to you. The law of attraction, as we call it, is becoming more apparent, and sometimes things that we knew that happened in certain ways or that we used to or that we were used to are happening in different, more surprising, more expansive ways. It's like if you use faith nowadays, you can accomplish your dreams easier than in the past. So then the big question is, what's going to happen, or how is ascension going to take place? The answer to that is ascension is not going to happen in future tense. It's already happening in the present tense, and everybody seems to be right about what is going to happen. On one hand, yes, there are going to be wars. Yes, there's going to be disease. Yes, there's going to be cataclysms. We're actually having all of that right now. But also, yes, there's going to be a dimensional shift where all of those bad things that I've just mentioned will not affect you or won't affect you so much, because reality will also become more flexible to your thoughts, to your mind. It's like the barriers that prevented us from manipulating reality, barriers that were probably put into place during Atlantean times, are being removed in these times. The systems of control, such as bank systems and government systems, will fall, and this will of course create chaos, but it will also create freedom and new ways for us to govern ourselves that are more free. Many believe that the 3D world is becoming more 4-dimensional. I can already feel it, and many can feel it too, and eventually it will become 5-dimensional, meaning our dimension will shift to the 5th dimension. At the same time, there are many individuals and also extraterrestrial beings who are assisting us, and yes, soon extraterrestrials will go public. There's the belief that extraterrestrials will take humans to safer places on this earth and in other planets. And I share these beliefs, and I know masters, people whose consciousness is completely awakened and who also believe in this. In other words, everything that I'm mentioning will happen at the same time. The bad and the good. It's a singular and it's a collective event. but also an event that can be greatly influenced by your mind, by your thoughts, by your emotions. And so I believe there's no better times to be alive, because first, we've already experienced the worst times in our previous lives, and now we're in much better times, in times where we're in a way protected like never before, where our minds are reaching maturity. We'll get to see the transition, the ascension, and it will be spectacular. We're already experiencing it. And so the advice that I have for you all to experience all the good in this is to, number one, work on bettering yourself. Spirituality is all about psychological work on yourself. In the times of our grandparents and even in the times of our parents and before that, psychology basically didn't exist for the general public. I'm not talking about psychology just as the science that we know that we can get from a university degree, but I'm talking about all the practices and knowledge for humans to become better, happier, more organic, better at managing emotions, and that didn't exist for the general population in the past. I mean, there was philosophy, there was art, and there were great stories and myths which had the seeds to help us to bettering ourselves, but most of us were not prepared to consciously understand such knowledge. Only our subconscious could store this information, but in these times, we can finally understand it and work on bettering ourselves. Number two, focus on the positive. The positive is everything that brings harmony and balance. When you watch the news and you hear about the government and politics and all of those topics, they generate fear and control, because remember, the old systems don't want to die and they want to keep us enslaved. But I tell you this, not for you to fear. Nobody's going to be chasing you, but just for you to put your mind into more positive content. And number three, have faith, because with faith, you can move mountains. Faith has always been one of the building blocks of religion. And of course, it has been misused in the past, but you understand that. And you understand that there are infinite phenomena happening around us that our senses cannot perceive. And many times, our senses do actually have the potential to perceive them, but because of the way society has been programming us for ages, we can't perceive them. But that doesn't mean they are not happening. So I always like to have faith that there is a higher self, a quantum version of myself, call it God or call it gods or the enlightened masters belonging to a higher dimension, such as the astral plane, that we can't always perceive, but who are actively working on guiding us, on protecting us, on helping us to create the reality that we want. And yes, many times we can actually see them in action if we access the astral plane through astral projection, for example, which is, in my opinion, relatively easy to do. And so that's the message for this video. I just wanted to tell you that I've been feeling a lot of love lately, a lot of positivity. I've been having wonderful moments and realizations here in the south of France, and a lot of things are being revealed to me. A lot of things are being revealed to a lot of people that I know, many who are extraordinary light workers. And I just want you to know that everything will be all right. Ascension is happening, my friends, and we're going to places, good places. This is Arturus, and that was my message. Until next time.